Welcome to This is Legends of Yesterday. This podcast often explores real events, folklore, myths, and historical moments. A list of the topics, themes, and subject matter featured in this episode has been included in the video description. Some stories may not be suitable for all audiences. Now, let's dive into the legend.
Time where we recorded a whole, I don't remember if it was a sketch or what, and the audio was never on.
Yeah. Talk about a silent film. Ayo! Hello, my name is Alexandra.
Hi, I'm Angelica.
And welcome to This is Legends of Yesterday, where we talk about histories, mysteries, and ghost stories here in Florida. And yes,
Florida.
solely in Florida, because Florida's weird, and we admit that. We are locals. We get it, and we are okay with it.
For our listeners, do you want us to expand to other places, or do you want us to stay in our place?
Yeah, I mean, currently our logo is gator skin.
Yes.
So
I don't know if you've ever looked deeply into our logo before.
I don't know if you've ever truly looked at our logo, but it is gator skin.
P.S. Thank you, Calypso, for designing that beauty.
Yes, Calypso Hernandez for all of your programming and design needs. Mm-hmm. Yes. Sponsored by Sponsored by Calypso Designs. For those of you that have never seen this kind of show before, my name is Alexandra. That's Angelica. We are sisters.
Yes.
And we are also improvisers. So we're comedians. We regularly teach classes and courses. And we also do pop-up performances around the area. Mm-hmm. But for fun, because we do, I don't know, it's fun for me. We do the histories, mysteries, and ghost stories here. We also do our local tours. So if you are here on the fourth Friday of the month currently, if you're here,
we might also have more things coming up in October.
Yes, in October we have much more. But if you're ever here in Davie, Florida, and you want to take a tour, come take a tour. You'll see us, or you'll hear about things that we've talked about on this podcast. We have over 50 episodes, I believe.
If you listen to our last episode, we explained everything. So go ahead, listen to our last episode. Yes. We have some of the history behind the mystery we're going to talk about. And if you hear pitter patters or see us starting our eyes to the floor, it's because our puppies are on the floor. They're not puppies. They're fully 13-year-old
They're 13,
dogs.
But they still act like they're 5 years old.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So this is our mysteries episode. Our mysteries, ghost stories, conspiracies, and all the weird stuff episode. Last episode was our histories episode. So let's get to it, okay? We're going to be talking about the Betz Sphere.
Okay.
Or the Betz Ball. I kind of like the Betz Ball because it sounds a little more fancy, but that's just me.
So it's not a group of people.
Mm-mm.
It's not a party.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
It's a party for conspiracy theorists.
Okay.
So the Betz Sphere. Last time we talked about Jerry Betz, who is a part of this story today. So if you'd like to know more about her history, you can go and see. She had passed away in 2024, last year.
She was a super incredible woman.
She's
iconic.
Iconic. So we're going to talk about the Betz Sphere, guys. Now, we have to discuss the sphere. We have to go back. Okay. We have to go to about, let's say, the 1920s.
1920s?
Okay. Because
that's before Jerry.
Before Jerry, there was, nope.
I'm so sad.
BJ?
I didn't realize that it was going to turn into that. I can't spell it.
Where did that come from?
Like BC, before Christ.
Jerry spelled with a G?
Oh, BG.
Geraldine? Jerry?
I don't know how names are spelled.
This is why I'm reading today. Let's talk about Nettleton Neff. What a fun name, Mr. Neff.
N.
N. Nettleton Neff.
N.
But dude, it's not his middle initial.
Like
so I'm gonna get through this.
Okay.
He had commissioned a architect named Melon Greeley, not Greenlee, like I've been wanting to say for the past week of reading this. Okay. Melon Greeley, who was called the Dean of Jacksonville Architecture, to design his Florida mansion in 1927. Actually, never was lived in. So this mansion that was built for Mr. Neff was never actually lived in, even though it was named as one of the most unique designs that was created by Greeley. Now, there was something about it that Neff could never like. In August of 1926, Neff's wife, Catherine, died in a quote-unquote mysterious fire at Neff's summer home, which was in Roaring Brook, Michigan. In June of 2028, Neff's 21-year-old son, William, ended up disappearing from Harvard University.
What?
All these tragedies surrounding Mr. Neff. He had disappeared, and then he was found 2 weeks later having hung himself from an apple tree in Stonington, Connecticut.
The son?
The son. On April 7th of 1931, he had never set foot inside of the mansion that he built on Mount Cornelia, Fort George Island's highest point. And Nettleton Neff ended up shooting himself in his right temple with a .45 caliber revolver in his Chicago office when he was 50 years old.
That's horrible.
Uh-huh.
And
so
many tragedies.
So many tragedies that had happened. And after these tragedies, more strange goings-ons had happened. Surrounding this property, there's a lot of claims of hearing voices in the forest and seeing things at night. And this is from locals, right?
Okay.
So then in 1974, the Betz family had bought the property.
Jerry, we love Jerry.
Jerry with a G. She and her husband ended up moving into the home in 1974 with their children, and their kids started to kind of notice that things were off in the house, whether they would hear a noise or something, but they would mostly brush it off,
Okay.
But there was a brush fire that happened when their son Terry. It was fun for me too. Yeah. You can laugh at that. Their son Terry, who was 21 at the time, ended up finding a sphere in the middle of this brush fire. So strange things.
A circle, a ball.
A sphere. A metal sphere was found in a bog after a brush fire. So the place that was surrounded by water had caught fire.
Huh.
Uh-huh. And
well, I guess that's not unusual because they have the will-o-wisps in Ireland, right? Which are fires and bogs, essentially. I don't know.
I don't know that.
I don't know.
That's a you fact that you brought in. And after this fire had happened, they found this silver metal sphere with no seams and no etchings except for a triangle on it. Okay.
Illuminati.
It was 22 pounds and just under 8 inches.
That's heavy.
That is heavy. And I would have left it. Because your girl doesn't feel like carrying what I would believe as trash around.
It's cool trash, man.
It's a metal ball. I would have just left it.
Okay.
We're talking now times. After this, a lot of strange things started happening, and to this day, the Betzes are the only residents to have lived in the 89-year-old house year-round. It was nicknamed the castle because of the way that it was formatted, and I'll include a photo here. But the way that is that it includes like a servant's quarters, entrance and exit, like all this stuff, but designed in the 1920s to become this safe haven for Catherine and Mr. Nettle. So this was like the built out of love and yet left behind by grief, you know?
That's so sad.
Yeah. The Betz family attributed these strange happenings that were going on inside of what is still referred to as the Neff House. If you don't call it the castle, people still call it the Neff House. By this mysterious sphere that they have brought into the home.
Hey.
No, it's ew. To me, like you took something out of a bog and you brought it home.
Okay, I'm going to be real. I would do the same thing. Yeah.
If it was a feather, I would bring it home.
A feather?
It's like I find a feather, right? Find a feather. You know this.
Talking about will-o-wisps. That's like a fate trap.
But it's pretty.
Keep going.
So, so this sphere that was found in the marsh, it's a steel ball, single triangle imprinted on it. That's the only marking that it has on it, like aside from like a couple scratches and stuff, right?
Okay. So
so
it's been scratched.
It's been scratched. When they first found the ball, they thought it was like a cannon from something, like some war. They thought
sense.
Yeah. So they thought it was just some kind of cannon, but it seemed that when they set the ball on a table one day and Terry was playing his guitar, it started to vibrate with the same tones that his guitar was strumming to.
What?
Oh, you didn't know? It sings.
Wait, what?
No. Vibrates.
Oh.
Its version of singing.
Okay.
Whoa, dude.
That would have been crazy.
There is a castle. So it would respond to his strumming. And he ended up putting it on top of a table and it would strum and then it would start to proceed to move on its own.
So just to give you guys insight, those of you especially who don't live in Florida, there's a lot of cannonballs. And I'm sure a lot of coastal areas have this. There's a lot of cannonballs that are left in the area because a lot of, especially the fort areas.
Because no one expects the Spanish Inquisition.
So the Spaniards came in, they had settlements here, and a bunch of different people, I think the French at one point, tried something over here. And then
everyone tried something over here. It's a coast.
Yeah.
They're like, wow, a body of land next to a body of water. Gotta get it.
Makes trade easy, makes military or naval forces easier.
Everyone tried to get in on this. At the end of the day, guys.
But usually the cannonballs don't vibrate.
No, they're tiny balls that are rusted over currently, or they're very corroded, basically. Mm-hmm. Like if you would find one, that's pretty dented, corroded, and it
not just a few
not
scratches.
Like silver. Like this is a silver ball that they found, and it just under 8 pounds, or I'm sorry, just under 8 inches is larger than your average cannonball. Cannonballs were
so crazy.
Like 7 point whatever inches, you know. So yeah, I think it's funny that they thought it was a cannonball because of the size of it. Mm-hmm. Because like in movies and stuff, they make things larger than what they actually are. And cannonballs in films are actually larger than what they actually were. And cannonballs weren't that large because you have to be able to carry them into the pocket that would then shoot them out, right? People would have to physically be able to do that. And if you make this large cannonball in a film and and it's this big thing, that's literally impossible.
So you're saying they're not like bowling balls?
They're not. No, absolutely not. Cannonballs are not like bowling balls. They are smaller. If you go into museums, you'll see like that. It's like, oh, cannonball. And the cannonball, at least all of the ones that I have witnessed are like this big.
Okay.
And they're heavy and that's going to hurt.
So what happens when it starts singing to Terry?
So it starts singing to Terry. It starts moving around the table, right? And then they start playing with it. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't do that?
They start playing with it.
They start going like, oh, maybe if I move this way, and it would like follow them and stuff like that. So this ball would move around and it was interested in what was going on. Now, in October of 1975,
Stanley.
Nope. Sandy.
Oh.
Sandy Strickland wrote in the Jacksonville Journal that the Betzes had begun to hear organ music in the 7th level 21-room mansion.
What?
Okay. So in this mansion, after the ball had entered into the home, they started to hear organ music.
Only after?
Mm-hmm. They started to hear doors opening and shutting.
Uh-huh.
They started, basically it was like paranormal phenomenon ended up happening after the ball entered into the premises.
So, okay.
Okay.
It was only after the ball.
Yes. And then they had mysterious phone calls as well. And then they would hear voices banging doors, and then the glass from closed cupboards would sometimes crash onto the floor. So there was a closed cupboard, and then it would fling open and a glass would fall. Like in the Betz history, because the Betz Sphere has been mentioned on like Ancient Aliens and all of this stuff.
Really?
Because people started to believe, because of course, who wouldn't start being like, hey, I got this ball. It's weird as heck. Let me show you what it does. So
Ancient Aliens?
It has been featured on Ancient Aliens. And people had started to believe that this was something that was deposited by a UFO as some sort of device. Right?
Okay.
So this crazy thing, Terry started publicizing it. Who wouldn't? Okay. If I had a silver sphere that vibrated back to my guitar and started making my walls and crashing my silverware and all that stuff, I'd show it off.
So he took it on the road.
And since it has been featured, people have been harassing the family. Okay. Now, his father spoke about the sphere regularly in like the mid 70s. Now, on the island itself, there's history of slave trade. There's history of like that plantation, the Spanish mission of the 1500s. The Timacuans who had lived on there before Jesus was even born. And then the Betzes settled on the explanation that the sphere was this old cannonball, right? So they thought because of the history of the Spanish Inquisition, no one expects the Spanish Inquisition, that the sphere was just this cannonball. Mm-hmm. But there was a man who had wanted to like investigate this, right?
It's crazy though that nothing happened before the ball was discovered, because that seems like, especially like slave trade,
they didn't
and all
like
that stuff. That's a lot of negative energy.
No, it's like whatever that ball had attached to it had brought in all of this stuff, because yes, people had seen things and heard things around. I mean, like around the banks and the maple trees and all this stuff, like people constantly said like, oh yeah, around this area, like I see stuff, I hear stuff, blah, 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 blah. But it wasn't until they brought this into the house that they had started hearing a lot of different stuff. And they like, some people call them crazy, right? Some people were saying they were crazy.
Oh, yeah,
but
makes sense.
But this ball was brought to the United States government.
Okay.
So because people started conspiracizing about the ball being associated with aliens, they had brought it. The government had contacted the family and said they wanted to research this ball.
Oh.
Because of the amount of information that was collected.
That's huge.
Crazy. So Jerry was in her mid-30s at the time, and she was quickly being known in various circles. And if you'd like to know about Jerry's life, you can listen to the previous episode. But because of this, she was beginning her 1960s takeover. So the tractor-trailer business and transactions that launched her own fleet and everything like that. Like she was getting very high up in society and being very well known. So now not only was she being very well known, but then people are like, wait, aren't you associated with this sphere that's been going around?
Oh, that
so
stinks.
And she ran for state representative in 1972. And that same year, she actually, which I didn't mention in the previous episode, was arrested.
What?
For protesting.
Oh, because Jerry's a rebel.
Yes, she is. She is a rebel. But she thought that the house had basically like paranormal manifestations, and not ghosts, but just associated with this UFO enthusiast-based ball, right? In 1985, they left the Neff house after not even 2 decades. You know, there was so much stuff going on in the house. They didn't really enjoy what was going on there. And then they'd grown weary of the conspiracy theorists and the kinds of people who were coming out. I mean, it was like, it was too much for the family.
Well, I imagine. Have you seen the video about the person who owns the Sex and the City condo?
No.
Well, it stinks because tourists always come down and they'll knock on the door.
This is where Carrie was.
Yeah, I guess. I don't remember the names of the characters. Sarah Jessica Parker. Yes. So they'll try to find her and they're like try to walk through the house and there's a literal owner. There's a real person in there, but people are harassing them so they can't, just chill in their own house.
Yeah, when they had left the house, they ended up doing nearby archaeological digs to like look for more things about maybe the Spanish Inquisition. Then they ended up demolishing the kitchen wing, and then they they ended up doing like a lot of different stuff to this home so that they could figure out like what was going on. And actually, Jerry's husband ends up talking about the sphere a lot more. Basically, what they say is that there were so many phone calls, there were so many people who were looking for it. And then also a reporter somehow got their cell phone number and started pestering them like even later. I mean, this family for years has had to deal with this. In 1974, the Steel Sphere story made international headlines. And no one would stop. And UFO trackers from across the country had ended up going to their home and like trying to ask them questions and things like that. The U.S. Navy is specifically the piece of the government that researched this ball.
Okay.
So the UPI reported 5 scientists meet over steel ball today. So they had to research the ball. And then a man named J. Allen Hankin, who is known for his article of the UFO Experience, A Scientific Inquiry, had reported that he met astronomers, and then they won't go as far to say it's extraterrestrial. Like they're refusing to admit, basically. Jerry had told reporters that the family's toy poodle, when placed near the sphere, had covered its ears and whimpered. And then she said, if you pick the sphere up and hold it over your head and shake it like crazy, and then you put it down, there's like something inside of it that moves, and it almost feels like it's trying to get away from you. And it actually feels, what she says, and I quote, is like a huge Mexican jumping bean. And if you know anything about the Mexican jumping beans, it's like if you shake it, you feel it like jumping around.
That's first of all, who came up with the idea? Let's just shake this thing that we don't know like what it is. Let's just shake it over our head.
Can I pet that dog? Anyway, sorry. But anyways, when they got it back, they actually said, and this one I know by heart, but when they had got the ball back from the Navy, Jerry had said, like, I just want this back. You guys are not allowed to. They wanted to cut it in half and open it up and everything because they had done x-rays on it. Uh-huh. Now, when they had done x-rays on it, they found 3 balls inside of this one ball. So what it looked like on there, and if I can find a picture of it, because I found it so long ago, but if I could find a picture of it, it's the sphere, and then there's a ball inside of it, then a smaller ball, and then a smaller one. And they said what looks like wires inside of it. To me, I don't see the wires. I do see like a crack formation on one side. Uh-huh. Like if it landed, I guess that's the part where it landed on. Uh-huh. But that's what I see. yes, people attribute the triangle formation to the Illuminati, like how you joked about before. But people, I mean, still to this day are going nuts over this thing. But, you know, after years, Jerry had started, like we had said before, progressing in the community.
Yeah.
She wanted nothing to do with this article anymore. She wanted absolutely nothing to do with these conspiracy theorists, these crazy people stopping by her home. This poor woman had been exposed and fully to the public on something that they just thought was cool. Like they just thought this thing was a cool thing. And now she had to worry about all of the repercussions of being so involved in the public and now having conspiracy theorists try to contact you.
I could see myself in Jerry's shoes, like, guys, you need to see this. But then it goes back to people, you know, people and being like too much, too obsessive over this thing and not seeing like the people behind the thing. But that's crazy. 3 balls and a wire
inside the ball.
Dude, I know. This might be controversial. I would have cut it open.
Yeah, I would have cut it open. Curiosity did kill the cat, but, you know, we're still alive.
It's not an organism. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a living thing.
No, but that's what so people were attributing it to a alien listening device. So they thought that this was something, because it was like reacting and listening and could repeat stuff, that this was
repeating stuff?
Well, you know, like the vibration of
okay.
Multiple times you've wanted it to talk and it just can't.
Wanted to talk
just can't talk, Angelica.
I wanted to talk and really sing.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the Betz ball. I mean, there's years and years of like film done on this thing too. Like this is just a little bit of what this Betz ball is about.
What kind of film? Like the
Ancient Aliens.
Oh, okay.
and people still do, conspiracy theorists still do reports on it. There's hundreds of journals on this thing. If you go on the Jacksonville Journal also, they have the original 1974 reports on it and like all that stuff. Wow. And it's funny because it's like these poor people were enjoying their castle on a hill and in a haunted hill, mind you. So I thought that was funny.
House on Haunted Hill.
Haunting in Hill House. And they just ended up finding this thing. And let me tell you, leave it alone. Just leave it alone. I don't know. I would leave it alone. Have you seen those guys with the magnets that pull full cauldrons out of rivers and lakes? Leave it where it is. Don't touch it.
I guess.
Don't touch it.
Yeah, that's true.
Just don't touch
like
it.
The Jumanji effect.
Exactly. Yeah. Do you want Jumanji to happen to you? No. Then don't touch it. Leave it alone.
Oh, yeah. I'm just realizing my problem.
Yeah. Stop it. I'm
cursed.
Leave it where it lives. So I challenge you that if you see something strange out in the world and out in the wild, don't touch it. Just don't touch it. Angelica. But this has been another episode of This is Legends of Yesterday, where we talk about histories, mysteries, and ghost stories. I hope you have a wonderful, beautiful, and glorious rest of your day. My name's Alexandra.
And my name's Angelica.
Goodbye.
Bye, creepers.
Bye, creepers.
Weirdo.
No.
I'm the weirdo for picking stuff up.
I'm normal, I
right.
swear.